What are we saying, people? We are back with another off-scripted video, and this time we're not going to be talking about the Sonic Symphony as much as I would like to 100% talk about that again, because goddamn, that may have been the best weekend of my life. No, we're going to be talking about the third update for Sonic Frontiers. Now that it's been over a week and we've all had time to probably digest it, I'm going to be going over, giving my thoughts. Like I've said, it's going to be off-scripted, so just going to be giving my raw thoughts of it, what I liked, what I didn't. And before we get into that, just so you know, this should be obvious, spoilers are aplenty in this, so if you have not had the chance to go play it for yourself, get off this video and go play it yourself. But for those who have played it, or just don't flat out care for spoilers, sit your asses down and let's get on with this video. Right, so before we talk about the playable characters, let's talk about the story for it. Because, actually, let's go over the story for the original game, just for a comparison. So, we all know this, the story before the update was fucking atrocious. It was really obvious to me, and to everyone, this was rushed. It was so goddamn disappointing. The game started on such a high note as well, and then by Chaos Island, it started to dip, and by the time we got to the last island, like, it just didn't feel finished. Because it wasn't finished. And the final boss, man, like, just the fucking worst. Supreme itself, like, was a joke. It was just a reskin Giganto, but in my opinion, made easier. The only thing that was somewhat difficult about it was finding out why the thing just decided to stop dropping HP when you get to the end of it. But once you figure that strategy out, you can beat that thing relatively quickly, and if you have maxed out stats, that thing will go down in seconds. And for those who played it on hard mode, which I feel like a majority of us did, because the game didn't really offer any changes for lower difficulties from what I know. For those who play it on hard mode, you got the, I want to say bonus, but saying a bonus that's being generous. Because what you get is your quote-unquote bonus is just a game of Ikaruga. You play that hacking minigame you did on Chaos Island, and they just reuse that for a final boss. The monologue the end gives you was great, it was good, but like, that's not satisfying. I felt nothing after beating it. And like I said earlier, after what we got, like when we started the game, to end it like that, fucking disappointing. Absolutely disappointing. But a few weeks after the game's release, we were told that we will be getting updates later down the line for 2023, and they provided a image that contained a roadmap for that. And while the first two updates seemed alright, it's clear the third one caught everyone's attention, because we didn't exactly know what that was going to entail. Was it going to be a thing that took place after the event of the game, or was it going to be through the perspective of Sonic's friends while they were trapped in cyberspace? We knew nothing, and for the longest time, we just had to predict what we thought was going to happen. But around the time Update 2, well, it was after Update 2 dropped, data miners were finding animation data and a lot of assets relating to Update 3 in the files, and thankfully I was not spoiled of it, because from what I have been told, there were scripts and all that for Update 3 in there. But so apart from those leaks, we knew nothing about the update, and it wasn't until, I want to say it was in August, but we didn't really get any. Well, actually no. So in August we got a CGI trailer teasing it, and it didn't really show much. It showed no gameplay, it was just a full-on CGI teaser. But it said at the end, you know, it was going to be a new story and offer new challenges. And in the trailer we saw a modified looking Supreme with a shit ton of arms, and that's all we got. That's all we knew. That's all we knew for a good few weeks. We got a few soundtracks, we got another trailer saying, like, rewrite your story and all that, so it was pretty clear, you know, it was just going to be a retelling of the events of the last island. Yeah, come September, I can't believe I've already forgot it, I believe it was the 28th? September 28th. We got the release of the third update, and yeah, let's talk about that. So, the story of the third update, all you gotta do to access it is just hop into this giant warp ring, and it brings you to the modified version of Oranos, and it starts right after Sonic gets rescued from the cyber corruption. So Sonic's running through Oranos, Eggman interrupts him, Sage pops up, telling him a new plan, which, I'm gonna say this right now, her plan kinda made, you know, that entire cutscene beforehand completely meaningless, because Sonic's friends pretty much sacrifice themselves. I think that's a good way of putting it, to save Sonic from his corruption. But in the very next cutscene, then Sage gives him the cyber corruption back and brings his friends not fully out, but they're not dead or whatever happened to them. And I'm just thinking, like, what's the point? What was the point of the cutscene beforehand? Like, don't get me wrong, I'm happy with the story we got for update 3. But it just kind of made the last cutscene a little meaningless. Anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. So yeah, the new story pretty much just involves, instead of Sonic going after the emeralds, it's his friends that do it. And what Sonic has to do is go through these trials in order to get the quote-unquote new power. Well, use the cyber corruption and just enhance it into new power. And after that cutscene, the gameplay loop begins. And go off in order, we will start with Amy and how she plays. So in my opinion, Amy's fun to play as. She has a triple jump, which is broken as all hell, and her main method of attacks rely on her using her tarot cards, which I never had an issue with them embracing that character trait. I think it's cool. But at the same time, she rarely uses her hammer as an attack. The only time she will use it is for a side loop and to parry. And I just wish they put more time just to give her hammer more use. Oh yeah, and she can also use this like boost thing where she uses a hammer like a broom or some shit like that. But Amy is really fun. Once you unlock the spin dash, because all characters can spin dash, and well, I want to say all of them can home and attack, but Tails can't, but we'll get to him in a minute. But yeah, once you unlock the spin dash as Amy, goddamn, it is really fun to run around as her. Being able to launch into the air and jump 3 times into a glide, because she's able to use her cards as a glide of sorts, it's really fun. It is great. So yeah, my opinion of Amy, really good character to play as. And I don't really have any issues with her. She's just kind of a well-balanced character. She has the boost. All of the characters have the boost. And yeah, if you just want to... I want to class her as the easy mode, but to be honest, I think that will go to Tails. But before we get into Tails, let's talk about Knuckles. Knuckles. Fuck me! They did my boy dirty in this update. Now, as you would expect, he has his regular abilities that you would expect him to have. He has his glide, and he has the ability to climb walls, but only certain walls. As for his glide though, originally, during my first playthrough, I even said during a recording that, hey, you know what, it's a bit odd, but you know, I think it's pretty convenient to get from point A to point B if you have a high enough ground for it. And I still think that to some extent, but the more I play as him, the more I use the glide, this shit ain't good. It's not. It's fucking atrocious. He turns like a tank. He is so stiff in the air. If you played Sonic Adventure 2 and you go back to this, you're really going to notice the difference. And it does not get easier the more you play it. Traveling in a straight line, cool. It's fine. Making a turn with it, fuck no. It's way too clunky. It's hard to be precise with it. And for some reason, they thought it was a good idea to have him do this weird startup animation, and it just makes it feel more slow. Clearly, something went wrong here, because I don't know how they approved this. I don't know how they thought it was okay. And this is stuff that can be fixed. Modders have already fixed the startup animation, and I'm sure with simple, like, physics change and all that, they can make the glide feel a lot more better as well. But as it stands now, nah. Knuckles just isn't that fun. And I'm gonna go over the combat as a whole, because they can all be summarized in one part. And it's a shame as well, because he can climb walls, but he can only climb the red one. I can't believe I'm drawing the comparison, but it's just like in Rise of Lyric. Because, I mean, you can only climb red walls. You can probably climb some others as well, but you can't just climb up a steep cliff with him, which I thought, you know, hey, sometimes Sonic struggles. He, for some reason, just flips off it. He flips off some terrain when you run up it. Knuckles can probably just scale that. He can probably just climb it, but no, you can't. You can only climb certain walls. Sonic can make sense to some degree, but Knuckles, no. He should be able to just climb that stuff. And for some reason, speaking of Rise of Lyric, he has a weird glitch where he can do the exact same infinite jump glitch like he could in Rise of Lyric. What the fuck? I don't know how that happened. Like, I don't know how, to be fair, I don't know how the original, actually, well, Rise of Lyric was rushed as shit. But that's weird, man. It's crazy, because Sonic, Amy, Tails, and Knuckles are all playable in both games, and Knuckles has an infinite jump glitch, and he can only climb like red walls, just by the lyric. That's fucking mental to me. But nah, Knuckles in the end he left a lot to be desired. He has a punch combo, but it's just not that great. It just doesn't feel good. I don't know how they made it where the guy who relies on punching and all that, I don't know why they just didn't make the combat feel that good. Sonic feels fine, but it's the others that don't. I'm going way too deep into the combat. I'm going to talk about it more in depth after I finish speaking about Tails. And Tails he is fucking broken. Now, as you will expect, he had his flight. He can fly, but he can't gain altitude with it. He can only descend. Once you start flying, he will remain at the exact same height until he gets tired or until you just stop flying. It functions very similarly to his flight in Sonic Adventure 2 when you're in the Chow Garden and that and he can fly. It functions very similarly to that, only you can get tired in this one. But I say they did that on purpose to give his Cyclone more use. Yeah, they brought back his Cyclone from Sonic Adventure 2, and remember when I said Tails was broken? Yep, this is why. This is why he's broken. So, you can only use the Cyclone when you have max rings, which sounds like a drawback, but when you realize you can just side loop a bunch of times and max out your rings, yikes. And with that, when you boost with max rings with him and you unlock the skill, he gives him Cyclone, and you can just fly across the entire island. Granted, it relies on your boost gauge, but you can get an infinite boost gauge by side looping an infinity symbol. And once you do that, you can just fly across the entire island. No fucks given. And I don't know if they play tested this, because it makes all of his challenges a complete fucking cakewalk. All challenges designed around Tails can just be avoided. All you gotta do is just get in the Cyclone and just fly over it all. Granted, that can be said about almost any character. All you gotta do is just get to a high enough point and you can just skip an entire challenge with them. Granted, I know the fun of it is finding your own way to get to the end of the challenge. That's good gameplay. Finding your own way around challenges that you might find tricky, yeah, that's cool. More of that. But when you can skip over the entire challenge, that's when we have issues. But yeah, all three characters, well, I say only two of them I properly enjoyed. Knuckles was just fucking disappointing. But I will tell you what was disappointing for them across the board was the combat. Now, for this new updated version of Oranos, they brought back the Guardians, only way more challenging. They have a bunch of HP, their attacks are crazy fast, they're fast, and if you go in at level 1 stats, you're getting your ass beat. Which, guess what? All the three characters start up level 1, and they have no attack. The only attack you start with is the homing attack. Unless you're Tails, who doesn't have one, then you get fuck all. In order to get skill points in this game, well, for this DLC, you need to find these Coco hidden around the map. And you can't just speak to anyone, they have to have a colour that corresponds to the character. So if a pink circle is around the Coco, then only Amy can interact with it. If it's a red one, Knuckles, if it's yellow, Tails. And don't get me wrong, they're abundant, they're everywhere. But that is the only way you can actually get skill points. And you may be thinking, why can't you just fight enemies for skill points? There are no basic enemies in this. Yeah, it's only the Guardians that you can fight. You can fight Badniks. They're on the island now instead of the standard enemies you fight. But they don't drop skill points. So you have to rely on the Coco in order to actually get better moves. And once you go through all of that to get new attacks, it's really not worth going through the effort of fighting the Guardians anyways. Not only are you better off just fighting them with Sonic, because by the time you're playing this, you probably maxed out his stats and have all the moves. Even with Sonic on max stats, they take a while. They're beefy. They take a while to destroy. But all you get for defeating them are portal gears, which there are new side space challenges, but you can find portal gears everywhere on this updated version of Oranos. All you gotta do is salute the treasure icons on the map. They are everywhere in this, so you just have no reason to actually fight them, especially with the other characters, because even when you go through the effort of getting moves for them, they just don't feel that fun to use in combat. They all have different moves. They are not the same as Sonic, but I just didn't really enjoy using them. Maybe it's because I'm not leveled up, but I just didn't really get much thrill using them in combat. Because the updated Guardian, they can be complete dickheads if they wanted to. Like, since the game has no invincibility frame, you can get absolutely shat on by them if you're not careful. If you get hit at Sonic, it is very easy for them to just hit you over and over again until you just die. And with the other characters, that shit is almost instant. Maybe if they had the standard enemies on the map, then I'd probably use the characters more in combat. But as it stands, I just don't, I have no reason to. I don't really want to. And yeah, that is another thing to talk about. They really upped the difficulty on this DLC. Like, if you thought the base game was easy, you are getting your ass kicked. Don't get me wrong, I got frustrated, but I did enjoy the challenge. Like, it felt great to play a Sonic game and actually feel a sense of accomplishment for overcoming something. I have not felt that about a Sonic game since Unleashed. But now that we talked about all the new characters you can play as, let's talk about Sonic, because he gets a lot of time to shine in this, more than I was expecting him to. So his main goal for this is to climb more towers, very similar to Rhea Island. Something I fucking hated in Rhea Island because it was just boring. It was boring. I did not enjoy it. But nah, these new towers you have to climb, they will test you. They will test you. And I actually enjoyed them. Granted, I raged a few times after slipping up, but they were a great challenge. And I've seen some clips of people speedrunning them, and that just makes me want to go back to them. Something I never wanted to do on the towers in Rhea Island because they were just so boring. But this really makes me want to go back to the ones in the DLC and just try speedrunning them. It looks fun. But in order to access these towers, you need to find these lookout cocoa, which are not hard to do. You can either get them in the new cyberspace levels, which I didn't bother because there's a quicker way of doing that, and that's once again going through points across the map and side looping those treasure box icons, because they're everywhere. So it won't take long for you to unlock the towers. They function just like the vault keys in the original game, only you do not need a lot of them to progress. So yeah, once you scale the top of the tower, you have to do a challenge. And when I say challenge, I mean, they're not bad, they're not hard. The only one you may have a issue with is the snake one, where you have to defeat these 4 enemies in a pretty strict time limit. But once you know the strategy, it's a piece of piss. It's not hard at all. But the challenge you will definitely struggle with is the goddamn Master Trial. My god, we're going there. So once you climb the 5th tower, you gotta do what's called a Master Trial. And what the Master Trial is, you gotta fight all the 3 Titans, so Giganto, Wyvern, and Knight. You gotta beat them all in 400 seconds, because remember, you're Super Sonic, so you are on a time limit, and you cannot side loop to get more rings. So you are stuck on that time limit. And the real kick in the balls here is that you have to do all 3 bosses with a perfect parry. Something that, don't get me wrong, was asked for. But it's very clear these bosses were not designed for that sort of parry in mind, because the timing you have to do to parry does not line up with their animation. So imagine me being confused out of my mind that I am timing that parry button when Giganto goes to hit me, only for me to get hit anyways. It was just so annoying because the timing does not match up to their animations, and it's gonna throw you off. But with Giganto and Knight, you do not have to parry them to win. Well, you have to parry with the knife with the shield, but that's not too bad to do. That's pretty easy. It's Wyvern who takes the piss, because the only way to attack him is to parry. The entire boss is about parrying. And the real kick in the balls is that the missiles are fine to parry, because they do rely on you timing it. Once you're about to hit, if you parry, you'll get it. it's wyvern attacks that just don't make sense. I was playing it and I did get the parry down on the first phase because you listen to a little sound cue and that's how you know when to parry. I still fucked up many times, but it was easy to grasp on. It's the second phase that is gonna drive you mental because he attacks so goddamn fast you do not have the time to react. And the funny thing is you have to do 2 perfect parries back to back, otherwise you have to waste time flying around, parrying another missile, and if you do that so many times, you may as well restart the trial, because you would have wasted so many rings that you just won't have enough to beat Knight. And since me, being on a pretty strict time limit myself, I had to switch it to easy mode. I had to bitch out and switch the difficulty, because that gives you a better timing. It's still not perfect, but it's more manageable. And the funny thing is, Sonic has this little spidey sense that goes off when it indicates you're about to get hit. But that was not updated to work with the perfect parry. It still acts like you can hold it indefinitely, but you can't. So by the time it appears and I parry, like, they haven't gone to attack yet, and when my parry ends, I get hit. That was clearly an oversight on them. I don't even know if they playtested it on hard, because it's a ball ache. But after quite a few hours of frustration, I did beat it in the end. Well, not even a few hours, like, I want to say like 30 minutes. I finally got there in the end. And now we move on to the final boss against Supreme. Well, the end. Oh god! This is what made it worth it. The trial and error, the pain I went through, all led to this, and it was worth it, man. It was worth it. So, for the first phase, you have to fight the regular Supreme, which you'll be able to take down in less than a minute. But then, the end comes to you, comes to Earth, hijack Supreme, and the fight begins. Initially, it's confusing, because at first you can't do shit. You can't even parry the orbs. They fires at you, which, by the way, takes rings. It reduces your ring count even before the fight actually starts. But then it transitions into a cutscene. Super Sonic powers up and his eyes turn blue, and it's fucking cool. It's cool as hell. And you got an orchestrated version of I'm Here playing in the background, and oh, it was cool. It was fantastic. It was great. But the thing that annoyed me about the boss is that I couldn't enjoy it as much as I really wanted to, and that's for a couple of factors. One are the goddamn trees. They are in the way, and it makes it really, really hard to actually time your parry. And by the way, the perfect parry is back, but I will say this here. I thought the perfect parry was fine. In this fight anyways, because want to know why it was fine? Because this fight was clearly designed with a perfect parry in mind. But in order to actually attack the boss, you have to get rid of this cable that's attached to its neck. And the game does not make it clear at all what you're supposed to do. So I died many times trying to figure out what the fuck to do to it. Only to figure out a strategy which, by the way, apparently is used in the Knight fight to skip the shield bit, but it's a strategy that's never explained. So what you gotta do, you gotta attack the head a couple times, dodge left or right, and that allows you to lock onto the cable to attack it. First off, this needed explaining. Like, you didn't have to flat out tell us, but give us a hint of what to do. Because when you attack it, it's just going to regenerate all its health. And second of all, once you know what to do, the challenge is just gone. All you got to do is knock it out once, side loop the gun, well, quick side loop it, which, by the way, once again, isn't explained. Then you got to side loop it again once it leaves Supreme, and then Eggman gets a hold of it, and then we get another version of Almir playing in the background, but this time, it's performed by the GOAT himself, Kellen Quinn! The GOAT's back, people! Yeah, he returned. And I got goosebumps, man. I got fucking goosebumps. It was sick. But yeah, once you know what you're doing, it's not too challenging. And my god, the animation on Super Sonic in this fight, he's doing some crazy Dragon Ball Z shit. It's cool. That's the reason why I love this franchise. And I'm so happy they are doing more of this. Please, for the next game, embrace this side of Sonic more. Because it's just so cool to see. But yeah, once you beat it, once you do the quick time event, Sonic gets into the gun, they flout Cosmo Supreme, and Here's the part that completely broke me down. Sonic unleashes the diver energy. He takes full advantage of the power and becomes Cyber Sonic. The concept that we as a community made when the story trailer dropped well over a year ago becomes a reality. I made countless renders of this design. And to be fair, it's not exactly like my interpretation of the design. It's close. It's similar. It's kind of close. It's kind of close. It's pretty much just my design, but the red is blue. Which, to be fair, I will give him this. The blue looks cooler. But they did more than that. They gave him like these crazy Dreamcast looking eyes and like sharp teeth, full on Fleetway. And it was cool. But we do not get to play as him. He is strictly just for a like 10-second cutscene. You see him for like 10 seconds, which sucks, but hell, I'm not complaining. We got him in the end, people. We fucking got him. It was sick. But yeah, using that, he blasts through Supreme, fucking annihilates him, and then flies through the end. And he has battle damage on him, which was crazy to see. But that ended the story. He falls down from space, crashes. He survived it once, he'll survive it again. Sage lives, and we get a nice happy ending. Now, obviously, I did have some issues with the DLC. Like, don't get me wrong, I like the challenge, but I can see why some people didn't like it, because it just came out of nowhere. Like, you have a game that's easy throughout the entirety of it, and then you just drop this massive difficulty spike on us, which I adjusted to, but it's definitely not for the faint of heart. And some of the playable characters, I think this DLC needed a little more time in the oven. I enjoyed it, I loved it, but I could definitely tell some things they just didn't reach their full potential. I hope by the next game, we have multiple playable characters. This time, don't relegate them to one island. Make them playable for the entire game, and that way you can expand on their moves more. Because the updated island, it just slapped with a bunch of floating blocks and all that in the sky, and it just does not look appealing in my opinion. So make new terrain that's designed around each character and their abilities, and hopefully by the time the next game releases, I am playing a game that completely shits on Frontiers. But as it stands now, I can 100% say Sonic Frontiers is my favorite Sonic game. It's flawed as fuck. It really is. I think by the time the next game comes out, they need to up the animation quality. Please do that. And if the next game, if the quality is there, the animation quality is a step up, I think I can now say that the future looks bright. I'm going to remain cautiously optimistic, by the way. This ain't me saying I'm putting 100% of my trust into Sonic Team right now. I'm not. They got a lot to prove right now. But I say this is a good start. But they just got to keep this foundation. Do not throw it out. Do not throw it out. And yeah, if they do that, if they expand upon it, make it better, make extra playable characters that are designed around the world. Don't just slap in colored blocks everywhere. Make the terrain designed around them as well as Sonic. Then yeah, we're probably good to go. Anyways, I'm gonna end this off here. I probably didn't go over everything, but this is just me speaking my mind right now. If I didn't cover everything, oh well. Anyways, I do hope you all enjoyed me rambling on for God knows how long. I've been recording for 41 minutes now, so I'm gonna have to do a lot of voice crack. Fuck me. I'm gonna have to do a lot of splicing right now just to cut this video down a lot. And yeah, I hope you all enjoyed it, and I will see you all whenever I next upload, which I don't know when that will be. Just depends on my schedule. But if you did enjoy it, I appreciate it, and I love you all, and I will see you all whenever I next post. Bye for now, people.